Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sam Elliott64, and welcome to the RoboCast. I'm joined alongside,
Steve the American Killjoy.
and we are here to discuss the Grand Final of Bugglebots Season 2. We've finally made it. It's taken a while, but we've got here. And joining us this week is one of the competitors in the Grand Final. Introduce yourself.
So, you would recognize me from the Splodeyboi. I'm Reira from Team Nelly and Team Trans-cendant Robotics, and from the ESC podcast, because I do just everything I can. But you will probably recognize me as the really tall redhead who wanted a nap at the end of Bugglebots.
Who didn't want a nap after that episode, though? Let's be real here. It was intense. We will dissect it as much as we can do. Reira, absolute pleasure to have you on. It's I think we're long overdue at this point, considering I appeared on ESC end of last year, which was great fun.
Probably one of our highlights of our guests. You were the one who started the Mastiff Massive.
Never forget Mastiff. Thank you, Charlie, for putting that in the 2020 BattleBots pack as well.
Silly.
Absolute legend for that. Splodeyboi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's talk Splodeyboi. Obviously, you and Jeremy, did you kind of anticipate any kind of success with Splodeyboi? I mean, obviously, you did really well in the heat.
I mean, I got called onto the team, I'd say maybe a month before the start of Bugglebots. I applied on my own bot. It was a boring old wedge bot that I actually never went through and finished in the end because I got inspired to build other things. Mm-hmm. And Jeremy drops me a message out of nowhere and says, "Hey, do you want to be on my team?" And I knew Jeremy vaguely anyway. I hadn't interacted with him much, but I knew of him. And this tumbled into this wonderful friendship before Bugglebots, getting excited and learning about the robot. But I still had that thing of, I know Jeremy does ants. This is his first beetle. This will be interesting. I don't expect we'll do well, but we'll have fun. And that was my sort of go-in. And then I saw the night before... Was it the night before or the morning of? We were told... Either way, we were told we had Phoenix. And my heart sunk knowing how well it did at UE, seeing as UE was my first ever beetle tournament. And I'd seen how much Phoenix had absolutely wrecked shop. So my heart sunk and I was like, well, we're going to have fun and that's what's important. So we hype up for the first fight, we get to talk to our pit mates, and then we go in and, I mean, you saw what happened.
Yeah.
All the way back in Heat 2.
Not once, but twice.
I know.
Yeah.
If once wasn't enough, just kick him down while he was down and beat him again.
Part of me wanted Phoenix to win the Rumblebee so that we could fight them a third time.
It wasn't meant to be, unfortunately. If anything, they took your match from having an all-wheels diet, went the opposite way and had a no-wheels diet. It was kind of sad.
I didn't get to eat any wheels other than one of my own. We ate one of Splodeyboi own wheels.
The irony.
That was about it.
Oh, the irony. We'll get to that fight later on. Which I suppose does bring us to the Grand Final itself. Shall we start off with, I think very easily, because I was in the live stream chat for this one, and I have not seen a reaction like this in a long time.
Yes.
It was Salt City Central.
Cosmin sold out last week. Where we were going to get more salt? I mean, come on. So the fight was between Sore Loser, winner of Heat 3, and Thunderchild, winner of Heat 4. Brilliant fight. Driving fight,
yes.
To the maximum. So both of them were on form. Nate pinning Sore Loser so many times and, giving them the count and saying, look, I'm doing this deliberately. Pay attention to this sort of thing, which... while driving in a highly contested fight, amazing stuff. And the decision was correct, in my opinion. I have no qualms with the decision at all. From the way that the criteria has been so far, it's been very consistent, and I think this follows that.
Yeah.
I want to hear what you guys think.
Yeah. So, one of my favorite things to talk about, one of my favorite fights to talk about in the modern era, I'd like to say, of robot combat is the fight between Razorback and Sawblaze in BattleBots 2016. And that's what you think about with a robot that doesn't necessarily have an active weapon going the whole fight, where in this particular instance, Thunderchild doesn't have an active weapon. It is in itself a Rambot. And if you don't have an active weapon on your robot, I know it's one of those sore subjects, but when you bring it up, you're going to have a hard time winning any damage points if you're just ramming yourself into the other robot. You're not really gaining yourself anything in that category, so you really have to hope that you win aggression and control and hope the judges see it your way. In this particular instance, I think they were both equally aggressive. So in that sense, that hurts Thunderchild with the fact that it doesn't have a damaging weapon. So it already loses a huge chunk of the judging criteria in that respect. So if a fight goes to the judges, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough to win. I really think this fight was really well contested. I mean, the amount of times that Saul Loser ended up getting flipped upside down and coming right back into it, it was impressive. It did seem on the run a lot, but I do think it got to a point where damage started racking up, even with all the pins. I think the decision was correct. This was a difficult one to call. I do not envy the judges in this particular instance.
I genuinely think that a lot of the salt online is from people who don't quite understand the judging criteria, and that's fine.
Correct.
Like, absolutely, that's fine. We don't.
In fairness to them, like,
anyone...
in fairness to them, they have to go out of their way to find that, which is
absolutely.
for the casual viewer, like it makes very little sense why Saul Loser won, but
and we don't expect. I don't think anyone expects the casual fan, and I say that really that sounds wrong in my mouth, because I don't think anyone's really a casual fan. I think the general fan won't know the judging criteria by heart, and I don't think anyone expects them to. But I think the fact is that I think a moment to reflect on the fact that the judges know what they're doing, and by creating this sort of online salt, you're not saying, well, the robot I wanted to win didn't win. You're actually putting into the mindset of the judges don't know how to do their job. And I would stand absolutely by every single one of those three judges, hand on heart, that they know exactly what they are doing. And sure, they are disagreeable decisions, but they are disagreeable decisions with reason. Mm-hmm. The Daedalus and Annie one could have gone either way. Genuinely could have. And as much as, like, throughout the fight, especially at filming, I genuinely thought Annie had won. Again, the judges said they re-watched parts of the fight. We can't stand against them. And I join in with the chorus of, it would have been cool to see Annie in the final. Mm-hmm. That might just be because I have a bit of a vengeance that I need to get on Daedalus. He killed my first robot, and I will never forgive him. My first ever fight ever in Beatles was my Sam Price commission bot Nat 20 versus Daedalus, and it was supposed to be a rumble with Hard Knocks as well, and I thought, brilliant, I can just we can team up on him, no one's going to get too hurt, and then Hard Knocks pulled out just beforehand.
No.
So it was just Nat 20
Joke's
versus
on
Daedalus. And I got eaten. So sure, but Cosmin's a wonderful guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, Ben is as well, of course, but those decisions come with salt. Just remember that when you're about to type your edgy comment on, the Bugglebots video, just remember that the judges are real people, and by saying that, you're saying they can't do their job right. And, I mean, they can.
I think it kind of...
Kane is the head of the FRA for a reason.
Yes.
For my 2 cents, I gave many 2 cents last week. I think I gave 4 away last week, but this is number 6 now. I don't want this fight to be seen as the one that Saul Loser somehow won. Like, it was a spectacular fight. Like, Alex and Nate were driving both of them impeccably. Like, the amount of times Saul Loser could have ended up in the pit because Thunderchild had them up and over and on the ropes, and just somehow didn't. And the amount of times that Saul Loser were just, able to nick on Thunderchild and cause damage and, get the win in the end.
Yeah.
For my view, it was a brilliant fight, and I think both of them were worthy of a place in the next round. I think any robot in this grand final was worthy of winning the title itself, and I think for them, people to say, Thunderchild was robbed, it probably was robbed. If you look at the fight objectively, I would say Thunderchild was the better robot, but because of that, be it Nate's choice, be it whatever, that he doesn't have a weapon, that is always going to count against him.
Yes.
So
absolutely,
I think so because Saul Loser, has the innovation of the weapon, and will cause the damage, then that's a plus point for him. You know, at the end of the day, you know, the idea is to kill each other.
Right.
And Sawloo's we're making more of an attempt to kill Thunderchild than Thunderchild was with its wedge, let's say.
Yeah. That's the name of the game. The name of the game is to kill each other.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not robot hugs, it's robot wars, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So, I understand the frustration of everyone out there who thought Thunderchild won. You know, looking at the fight, Thunderchild was the better robot in the fight, but Sawloo's scored the points, and the points are what matters.
Absolutely.
So, there you go. I think that's probably the nicest way to put it, really. Just, you know,
Yeah.
Thunderchild was the better robot, but Sawloo's did score the points where it counted.
Absolutely. Could not disagree. I could not disagree with that decision. I think it was exactly the right decision. It's a shame that Nate's, you know, pure pushing power that really, really got showed off in that fight wasn't enough to win, but it just wasn't enough to win. So
that's the way it goes sometimes. Which brings us to fight 2. Reira.
Well.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
I suddenly feel attacked. I suddenly feel attacked.
Well, you were attacked by something. I mean, K2, we've talked about how imperious it was throughout its heat. It didn't stop. And, you know, Splodeyboi, you know, as we saw in Heat 2, was a very, very competent and, you know, very high standard beetle. It was made to, I think, is it fair to say it was made to look very weedy by K2 in this fight?
We got massacred.
Again, there's no disgrace because, you know,
No.
they're the champions for a reason.
Yeah.
I think it goes to show the terror that is facing K2 in the fact that I hadn't shut up for all of my heat. Let's be honest. Throughout the entirety of our heat, I was spewing out catchphrases left, right, and centre. You know, we are the danger, etc., etc. Did either of you notice what I said in the pre-fight interview against K2?
I didn't know. I was trying to go on.
That would be because it was nothing. I was so nervous. And I was there to make sure that, you know, I was there to fill in when Jeremy couldn't say something. You know, I was meant to be the
quipper,
you know,
if
the
you like.
quipper. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm the comic relief of the team.
Yeah, he's the play-by-play to your color commentary.
Absolutely. And I had nothing. Nothing I could say. Even, you know, even the whole anti-Berg, you know, stuff that I come up with. You know, I absolutely love the Berg, I will point out. But, you know, even all my oh yeah, we're even better than the Berg stuff, I couldn't even draw from that. I sat in that interview chair and just sat opposite Mark, and, you know, he's just such a lovely guy, but he's also got this air of, you know, I'm smiling at you now, but your robot's going to be in pieces in about 20 seconds flat.
It's a cool arrogance, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
like it's not arrogance in the nicest sense of the term. Like, he knows he's going to go in and he knows he's going to win.
I think he's sort of... I think there might be some level of regret to winning sometimes, maybe. Whenever he would say that there was no damage on the bot, there was a part of me that just winced at the fact that, like...
He charged...
He did our best.
He really did charge their batteries well this series, didn't he? Every fight was a good battery charge, and it clearly worked.
Charge the batteries.
Charge them. I'm not going to attempt Welsh because we'll offend an entire nation. We can't go there.
Yeah.
I want to call it a fight, but it really wasn't. I mean, it's a shame because, you know, you guys have obviously worked so hard to get here.
It was a mercy killing.
Yeah,
K2 was on an all wheels diet today.
it really was. You know, it's been fasting over the series, and now it was hungry.
I finally got to eat a wheel. It was our own wheel, but I got to eat it.
Obviously, it did put you in a loser's melee. Were you like? I'll ask, you know, because you know you have to ask,
sure.
like, you know, did you go into the fight against K2 thinking we could win this, or was it a case of oh god?
As I mentioned about like not even having a quip to come up with in the first interview, I was terrified. I thought we were coming out of that with no way to even repair, because Splodeyboi is quite a bit, not as much as other robots, but Splodeyboi is a bit of a glass cannon. It is I'm going to hit you so damn hard, I don't care about what happens to me. I was fearing we were going to have no way to repair it. But again, props to Jeremy. Amazing design on that thing. the main damage was K2 hit us on the wheel, and the inertia of the hit managed to break one of the wheel hubs, or the axle, because of how Jeremy has decided to lay out his drive system. And we had replacements, we had spares, we had everything ready to go, but the moment I saw that bit shear off of the plastic, I was like, oh, that's something really important.
We'll get to how you fare later on.
Of course.
But it was a spectacular fight. It's as short and sweet as it was. It just showed once again that this is the difference between a high level Beetle at this point and K2. It really does.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see where Jeremy goes next with Splody. I mean, he didn't have a fantastic showing at Battle of the Borough, but gremlins catch up to every bot eventually. I mean, we saw that a lot this season, that a lot of really stellar bots had a few little gremlins here and there.
I mean, look at the Dung Beetle.
Yeah, exactly.
It's full of bots like that.
Yeah, I mean, the standout one for me is Ogre Drive. Ogre Drive is a solid, terrifying bot, but the gremlins caught up, and yeah, it happened. And props to Sam, he's gone straight back to it and started building and improving yet again. Any Roboteer that has the attitude that I see so often in this sport of, well, that didn't go right, so let's repair it and find the next solution. It's very different to the other hobbies, competitive hobbies that I do, where there's a lot of blame on what would be the replacement for the machine in this case, and it's nice to see. It's really, really good to see. And yeah, I think that stands out with Jeremy as well. And I think that after that first round fight, I think that attitude was what got us in the mood to go through to that losers melee.
Yeah.
There was one more fight though before the losers melee, and this we had Rory on a couple of weeks ago. Absolutely lovely guy. I've never been so heartbroken just seeing a robot get pulled apart like that. Even watching, back when our very first review, Robot Wars Series 8, Heat 1, watching Nuts die to Carbide, this might even make me more upset than that, because Mini Spinny has, dominated its heat. It's, a very high caliber robot in its own right. Rory's made the final, I get drew against Daedalus, okay, a scary robot, but a winnable fight. Oh boy.
Yeah.
That robot afterwards was in an absolute state, and the whole front's off.
Yeah.
Credit to him for keeping it running as well for the whole fight.
The front fell off.
It did. There's no other way of putting it. The front came off.
Yeah, I'd like to know what he thought the little white Mickey Mouse ears on the side were gonna do. But I mean, everything else was just. It was just like it was like peeling layers off an onion. Like it just kept going, but you just kept seeing more and more layers just start to peel away, and it just, oh man, it's amazing it kept running for so long, because it really was dealing hits to Daedalus too, but Daedalus didn't show it. So
Daedalus did not care, did it?
Daedalus is just the robot equivalent of like the main anime antagonist that can't be taken down. Like, you can keep hitting this thing, you can keep taking chunks out of Daedalus, and Cosmin will just smile, knowing that you have done nothing.
There's still another hit that it can take,
Yeah. The only way to kill Daedalus, as we saw with Thunderchild, is to have Daedalus kill itself.
Again, an amazing performance from Daedalus. At this point,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
They've come through 2 rumbles. And then got a very high caliber opponent in Mini Spinny as well. Let's not confuse it here. This is all of these robots are top of their game at this point.
It fought nearly every robot in the competition, I think we worked out.
Yeah, I remember seeing a good friend of ours, Dave Laurie, post in the stream chat. It was, I think, 73% of the field Daedalus at this point has beaten.
Yeah,
which is absurd.
It did have a scare, though.
It did have a scare.
Was it this fight that it jumped in and out of the pit, or was it?
Oh, no, that was the fight with Thunderchild again. But that was.
Oh my god.
We'll get to that later on as well.
Yeah.
But Daedalus. This was a clear case of a robot and a robot here, in perfect synergy and just absolutely going to town. It was so impressive.
Also, it was interesting to hear Rory at the end of this fight where there's an interesting strategy amongst kinetic energy spinners where you don't expect the fight to go the full distance. You expect to kill the robot before the fight's over. So he takes into consideration, okay, I have to meet weight, so I guess I'll shave a little bit off my battery because the fight's never going to go that long.
It hit home. It really hit home because I missed that interview because we were, believe we were repairing Splodeyboi at the time, and of course at the time I hadn't designed my current robot, but my current Beetleweight Ariadne is a really, really high-powered undercutting ring spinner, and I have the exact same problem. I've had to put 2 batteries in so that it can go the full distance in a fight just in case, and that's extra weight and extra room in the robot as well that I now need to consider because I need to have 2 batteries to make it the whole way.
And as well as that, the problem that Mini Spinny faced in this case as well, obviously, it wasn't going to win the fight anyway. But at this point, he had to turn his weapon off, and so that sacrifices, points, on the off chance that it did win the judge's decision. Obviously, it was never going to in this case. But if they have to turn the weapon off to save power.
Yeah, and the thing is, turning your weapon on from stop draws more current initially.
Exactly.
So rather than running current, for those who don't know, I mean, that's important. It's a shame.
It was a real shame. Again, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to go 3 minutes. In the arena with Mini Spinny, you're going to either end up in pieces or beating it. So for it to go 3 minutes with Daedalus, it kind of showed. Again, back to what Reira said earlier about constantly improving the machine. This was a highlight where it is possible to go 3 minutes with me. Therefore, I should I might look at doing that differently in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. It came across me in the design phase that I really needed to concern, the amount of motors I'm running and how much I'm going to be turning up. Like Rory said, turning up and down the speed of your spinner uses more battery than just speed up, done.
Yep.
Because you're sending more and more commands to the motors, and it's something to consider. And I think that it's a shame that we finally saw it be the bane of a robot in a fight, but. It does happen. It did what it could.
Yeah.
It did what it could.
Yeah. There's no shame in going out to Daedalus like that.
No way. At all. I don't think there's ever shame in going out to Daedalus.
Definitely not. It's quite the machine. That does bring us then to quite a very strong losers melee in Mini Spinny, Splodeyboi, and Thunderchild. Mini Spinny. We'll talk about that first because obviously. It never really got going, and I'm not surprised. The amount of beating that it took from Daedalus.
The link fell out.
But, of all things to kill it.
No.
Oh, it's such a shame.
Us American viewers, ha 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 ha.
I did see a little
switch.
Yeah, I did see a little wry smile from Nate in the interview afterwards. He's just like, yeah, the link fell out. Of course it did.
It's
a sad way to go.
Pain.
It's a sad way to go.
And I mean, as a fellow heavyweight person as well, Sam, I'm sure you can appreciate the fact that happens in every weight class.
We've fun story to Death Flamingo as of this recording. Apart from when the link caught fire, we've never lost.
I was going to bring that up.
We've never had a link fall out.
Yeah, but that wasn't your link. That was that was a borrowed link.
Exactly. It wasn't our link. Our link is 100% foolproof as of the time of this recording.
I mean, Nelly uses switches when she's out in LA, but we had to use links for Stevenage.
You had lots of problems.
And one of our links blew up.
So did ours. We were in tandem. We had a small link fire.
Yeah, it was. I mean, links are
fine.
Of course, very important safety feature.
They're fine.
Big time.
And they have their downfalls and they have their upfalls, but so do switches. Yes. I'm not going to take a side in this eternal debate.
There will never be a right or wrong answer. They're both right. There you go.
Yes.
they're both right. But it's a shame that this is how it went this time.
Yeah.
It's the downfall of Mini Spinny.
Yeah, just be careful, everyone, no matter what you use.
Yes, absolutely. There's not much more to say about Mini Spinny because they didn't really get a chance to fight, which is a real shame. Yeah, but
it became an arena hazard.
It really did.
A bit.
But it's a strong series for Rory. I think he can
absolutely.
He can be very happy with finishing in the top 6. There's no disgrace there.
I mean, he had the robot widening service.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Not much that can compare to that.
Nope.
No.
Not even Boy can widen that far. No. And then Splodeyboi, Reira. I mean,
yeah,
wasn't much you could do against Thunderchild, really, was there?
We really held our own though. We stood in as best as we could, but we were bouncing around the arena, and I mean, the most important thing to me to the losers melee is I don't think you quite got the entirety of it. I don't know how much of it was cut. It was ages ago. I forget how much I said, but the most important thing to me was that at that point I had made it further than any other female in the competition. And though it wasn't my robot, I was part of that team, and that meant, the world to me. And in a still quite male-dominated sport, making it that far as a female meant the world. And sure, that was the hill that I died on. And as I said to the cameras afterwards, I wanted to go and take a nap. But
yeah.
I will say as well, I don't think because in the post-fight interview thing, in the pits, Rory looks absolutely shattered.
It's a 2-day event.
Yeah, he looks
really takes it out of you.
He looked finished, and God bless him. I just wanted to give him a hug or something. He looked like he was ready for bed. I
also don't think anyone has mentioned, but it was filmed way back in May. I think it was.
Yeah.
And it was so hot.
It was
so damn hot. I remember. I think one of the most cornerstone moments of the entire event was when Rory Mangles. Not Rory Mangles. I'm a moron. Alex Shakespeare. Yeah, there we go. Rare stupid. When Alex Shakespeare taught me all about how drinking Lucozade in heat is the best thing to do because it replaces your electrolytes, and I've never forgotten since. An Alex Shakespeare science lesson.
There you go. Can't beat it. What a guy. It doesn't mean Thunderchild, for all that salt, gets back into the competition. So I think, universal balance at this point is now restored. Thunderchild gets back into the competition. We'll get onto their fight a little bit later on. But first of all, it's a rematch from last series, K2 and Sore Loser.
Yeah.
Again, a fabulous fight. Again, kind of went the way I expected, but I think this is the first time, respectfully to everyone that's fought K2 at this point, that K2 was really challenged.
Yes.
And I think, I mean, you mentioned the all-wheels diet earlier, Reira, but K2's taken it a bit seriously, eating the pit tyre.
It was the true eating of a wheel that I could never do.
It was incredible, and that really changed the fight. That could have gone so wrong.
Yeah, it just happened so late in the fight. That was the thing.
Yeah.
Had it happened earlier in the fight, possibly Alex could have maybe taken advantage of K2 a little bit more, but this was...
It was too little, too late.
In my opinion, this in my opinion was just K2 really dominating Sore Loser, honestly.
It was certainly a heart in throat moment for everyone in the crowd because, of course, we don't really have the timer available to us at that point. And I think the countdown started just after the wheel going into the spinner. So, of course, we didn't know how long was left until Tim started shouting out his countdown. We just saw this wheel go into K2's mouth and go, oh no, this could certainly go a distance.
I think, fortunately for K2, obviously, it had won the fight by that point already. It had done enough. Yeah. I think what won it the fight, though, as well, is the fact that Sore Loser's arm wasn't able to go down fully. Because of the front panel was ripped away or bent, or it wasn't attached correctly anymore, and because of that it was obstructing its arm. Had that arm been able to get
that was a really interestingly perfect piece of damage.
Yeah. Perfect for K2 because I think had that been able to connect, it could have been a very different story. Getting underneath it and flicking it over could have been very bad news for K2.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Alex didn't have a switch he could flick on his controller to run backwards, because I would have expected him to do more overhead shots on a bot like K2.
Well, he did try in the end, didn't he? He used the arm backwards and tried to get on top of it, but by that point it was a bit too late, and I think the damage was already done. But again,
armchair roboteer here.
Exactly.
I could say anything.
Oh no, the armchair roboteers are at it again. Why not add a machine gun to Nelly?
Why not? Sore loser. This series going all the way to the top 4. In true in true style, of course. Obviously Firestorm.
How you brought that up.
Firestorm back in the day was infamous for getting to the grand final and then losing and then winning the playoff.
Yeah.
Sore loser in this case gets to the playoff again. I do find it incredible that still happened. It's just like, of course, why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it?
Roboteering legacies are an interesting thing that seem to either haunt or follow certain people in this community.
We've talked about the universe of balance, and maybe that's a balance in its own right.
Maybe.
I feel that it's kind of terrifying sometimes as well.
Yeah. But there's, again, no disgrace to lose to K2, and I think, Sore loser this series, a vast improvement over last series, and just such a damn fine machine. And, we had Alex on earlier in the series, it was, really cool to listen to.
I missed out on that episode, I'm sorry.
Sore Loser is the inspiration, or one of the inspirations anyway, behind me wanting to use Tormund 910 in future robots, because Tormund is actually what a lot of Sore Loser, especially Sore Loser version 1, was printed in. And that stuff holds up real well. So, and I love the fact that Alex Mordew just never seems to stop smiling.
He was so happy the whole time.
He could have lost 2 fights in a row, and that man could keep smiling. Every event I've ever seen him at, he's always the first person to pop over to you, say hello, and ask how you're doing. He is just a salt of the earth human, honestly wonderful human.
Yeah. And God bless him for bringing Sore Loser back again, and we'll talk about its playoff fight in a minute.
Any potential season 3, like if a season 3 happens, I would love to see Sore Loser again.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the same without it, I think.
No.
Which does mean K2 through to the final. Its opponent was either going to be another rematch. Well, the winner of the next rematch, which was Thunderchild and Daedalus. Now, obviously, at this point, we think. At this point, is it fair to say the first fight was the fight of the series so far? If not that, maybe Drizzle Wee Woo, but I think this is certainly up there.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I don't think anyone expected that to end with an Uta of Daedalus.
No.
I think anyone could have predicted, maybe Thunderchild would get Uta'd. Never would anyone have suggested, what's going to happen is Daedalus is going to hit the front of the wedge and, yeet itself into the bin.
It was, again, another fantastic spectacle. This time, Thunderchild just seemed a lot more in control of the entire fight, and the gyroing of Daedalus just like levitating around the pit. Oh, my anxiety was just...
Daedalus has some sort of secret mini repulsor engine in it, I'm pretty sure, that just mean that Cosmin can just turn on at any will and just go, I'm gonna just defy gravity for 20 seconds, that's fine. I'll just do that.
It was another spectacular fight. Daedalus, once again, just falling a little bit short and ended up in the pit this time, rather than out the arena. But these two robots are just spectacular, and this was, a lot of people kind of big this up as the big rivalry of the series between the big wedge and the big spinner.
Yeah.
And
the big spin.
The big spin and the big wedge, and wedge came out on top. Absolutely incredible driving once again by Nate. I think we've lauded about it all season how good he's been.
Nate's so precise.
I know.
Especially in the Splodeyboi fight, him reversing back and forwards to nudge us in slowly is such precise handling. That man deserves a damn medal for his driving.
It's just
I mean, that's. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's just an astonishing performance. He's the only person out of, as we mentioned, 73% of the competition to beat Daedalus, and he's done it twice.
Yeah. Exactly.
Unreal. Obviously, gutting for Daedalus having been on such a great run of just knocking everything out in sight.
It had its moments. It had its triumphs. It needed a little downfall.
Yeah. I mean, it's been an imperious form all series. It just falling short at one hurdle before the end, but I'm sure Cosmin wasn't too gutted. Again, he's another guy who just keeps smiling throughout every single interview that I see him, and he just got this massive grin on his face, and I think.
Yeah, I don't think Cosmin ever takes defeat badly because he knows that he's built his bot to essentially perfection.
Yeah,
he's the sort of person that I equate to sort of the Paul Ventimiglia style of bot building. Of I'm going to hone this thing in absolutely laser tight. And if it loses, then, there's nothing that could have been done about that. And I really love that attitude. I really love that attitude. And it really, it really begets him that, that fight, could have gone either way very, very easily. And it just turned out towards Nate's favour. And yet again, Thunderchild being the bane of the Daedalus.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously Daedalus's kryptonite. I mean, that's pretty fair. I mean, when you think back to, what do I want to say? Any of the times that Tombstone's fought Bite Force, when you throw the wedge into the blade, it's going to bounce it around all over the place. So you would hope that as long as the wedge holds up, that hopefully Daedalus either falls down the hole or breaks itself. So the idea is sound, and it's worked out twice in his favor, twice in Nate's favor. So a worthy grand finalist.
Absolutely. More than worthy.
Yeah. But before the grand final, we have one more.
Yes, we do.
Nani?
Sore Loser versus Daedalus. This, I mean, that first hit was just spectacular, seeing Sore Loser launch itself across the arena. Amazing stuff.
I don't think I've ever seen such a hit go so sour so quickly.
It was so violent. This is the way it just twisted around was just horrible, and then Daedalus doing its thing where it just chews into its opponent.
I feel in this fight Daedalus was a little bit unchained. Like Cosmin had turned off the safety features or something and just gone there, just hit everything full speed.
At this point, it's his last fight. If he wrecks it, he wrecks it, doesn't he? At the end of the day, it's what's he going to do after this? In terms of this competition, there's nothing more to do. So he might as well go full beans. Go full beans he did, and poor Sore Loser. I mean, it just looks so sad at the end.
Yeah.
The arm limping, like hanging limp. The disc still spinning somehow.
Yes. But no longer attached. Might have to see a chiropractor.
Yeah.
Might have to pop that back into place, man.
Yeah,
that was
a dislocated arm, sure, for Sore Loser. What a way to finish Sore Loser's series, really. It just looked so beaten.
Yeah. It was such a sad ending.
It really was.
I mean, hang on, didn't the arm fall off at one point in season 1?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
So at least there's not that this time round.
Yeah. But it does mean that, unfortunately, we didn't mention, Alex being traditional for playoffs. It doesn't. I think this is the first one that he's ended up losing, which is a real shame. But I think 4th place in Bugglebots is a very respectable finish for Sore Loser, considering the standard of competition this time.
Yeah.
And for Daedalus, 3rd place, again, considering it had to go through 2 rumbles, and fight its way back into the competition, fighting some really tough opponents throughout. There's no disgrace coming 3rd place, and I think, Cosmin will be very happy with his little trophy at the end.
Mm-hmm. I think it was a really good showing. I mean, that's an understatement. It was a fantastic showing. I think you all over there knew going in how strong Daedalus could have been. Very easily could have won the whole thing. I'm sure it was a favorite to start the series when it showed up. And the fact that it got 3rd is probably not super surprising. It's one of those robots that just you're scared to fight, and
absolutely.
anything can happen. Anything can happen. So it was a really good finish for him, definitely.
Well, speaking of finishes, I suppose we best talk about the grand final.
Yep.
It's time to talk about the last one.
Yeah.
K2 and Thunderchild. 2 very good drivers in Mark and Nate. 2 very, honed machines. And once again, I think the downfall in this fight is just simply down to Thunderchild not having the big weapon. And I think,
Right.
we've discussed already, Saw Loser beating Thunderchild on the premise that it has a weapon and will score damage points. I think the same applies here, because
this was K2 limpid again. It was a very similar feeling fight. A bot with a wedge or a poker stick of some kind, and K2.
I think something that is quite often overlooked is the fact that Mark builds tanks. His bots aren't just damaging; they're almost impossible to damage. Mm-hmm. And Nate's real chance here was either to, use the inertia or his, cheeky driving to get an Uta or a pit out, mm-hmm. or, keep hitting and pinning and hope to win a judge's decision. And both mm-hmm. of those are probably the most difficult ways to win for Nate, even with his insanely good driving skills. Those mm-hmm. are like the hardest ways to win. Mm-hmm. And honestly, he put up such a damn good fight. I don't think we could have asked any more of him.
Yeah, again, like, the judges could have gone either way. I think the only reason it was unanimous is, again, because it was so close, but then K2 had the added caveat of it has the weapon and was going to win the damage points. And I think that ultimately was, it really could have gone either way.
Absolutely.
Nate had a great drive in this fight. Once again, pinning K2 several times. I think, Mark just doing enough to keep in the fight overall, mm-hmm. and then obviously he had the weapon, so he was always. I think he had it in his back pocket, the fact that he could potentially, quote unquote, lose the fight, but then win it on damage, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I think that's probably a small relief when you're driving.
Yeah.
So he had had that in his pocket, and I think as much as Thunderchild, again, I feel like it probably was the better robot in the fight.
Yeah.
Ultimately, K2 had just enough to carry it over the line, and I think a very, a lot of people did say it's the bite force of Bugglebots, but it's like the similarities are uncanny.
Yeah. No, they really are.
It's so strange.
Build quality, the spinning
down
bits.
to the little wedgelets.
Yeah.
And K2 is a very, very worthy 2-time champion in my opinion.
Yeah.
As much as I think last series
someone needs to dethrone him, but I don't think we begrudge him his throne a second year.
No.
I think we're gonna have a very interesting. Say Bugglebots comes back again next year. I don't want to put words in their mouths.
Of course, yeah, and I mean they just finished. They're not even. Right. They've confirmed there's a special. So
right.
And we love the editing team, and we love everything they put out, and we hope there's a season 3. But if there's not, it's so much work.
Yeah.
Leading into that, I think 2020 could be crazy. Say BattleBots comes back, and I mean you have Bite Force, who's got the nut 3 times. That came out wrong. But
if Bite Force and K2 win again next year, I think we might need to have some questions. We'll have
a big reset.
You have the biggest dethroning of all time if both of them lose.
Yeah.
So
that would be kind of cool. Who knows?
Yep. I'm looking forward to it.
Nelly for Nut 2020.
Oh.
Just saying.
I don't know. It's like for me, K2 has at this point he's won 2 series. I think this series, for my opinion, last series had its fortune. Maybe it wasn't a clean run through. This series was just unstoppable.
It didn't even have an easy run. Like every bot that K2 faced was probably some of the most difficult bots in the competition.
Exactly. Let's look who they fought. They fought Ogre Drive. There's no slouch. Lancer Frog, who won the Dung Beetle last year.
Yeah.
Rust in Pieces. Fabulously controlled. Clusterbot, which could have caused all sorts of problems.
Yeah.
Obviously yourself, Splodeyboi, which don't want to go near it. You win a heat. You can't really say that you're not worthy of being there. So it's
no. I mean, again, promising newcomers with a really powerful spinner.
Yeah. Saw Loser, which we've discussed the quality of Saw Loser throughout, and then Thunderchild, who has pretty much won everything stateside, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
Where does K2 go from here? I mean, it's Like, where does it go from here?
We retire it.
The stratosphere.
That's the end. We call it a day. Let it go.
It goes to a farm into another county.
Do you know where it
We
goes?
never see it again.
It goes to the arena in the sky. That's where it goes.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh.
definitely.
You see, it's all come full circle.
That was a big brain move right
You see,
Yeah.
this is what
Hang on a minute. Which podcast? Are we
this is the
recording?
top
right.
quality content that we bring here.
So thank you for listening to ESC.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been Oliver. No, okay. So we.
I'm Mitch.
I was terrified one of you was going to say I'm Reira.
Don't tempt me. That does pretty much sum up Bugglebots 2019. Obviously, we have got specials to come, which we will discuss as and when they come out. But what do we think as a whole? I think for me, head and shoulders better than season 1.
Absolutely, and that's difficult, seeing as season 1 was really damn good too.
Yeah, it was a fantastic show, and I think a massive hand to all the Roboteers this series who came out and put their Beatles together in such a way, but like every fight, there was entertaining moments in it.
It's insane to see how big the Beatle community has gotten in the UK. I mean, I don't know if it's been brought up before, but the UE sign-ups.
I know.
Insane.
Yeah, exactly.
90 minutes, I think it was.
I'm
and
so-
they were just gone.
I'm so relieved I'm there. I'm so relieved.
Same.
It's
It
just.
means I've got to finish my Beatle. But
Oh God! Don't remind me. Don't remind me. But the community's looking very, very good in terms of particularly Beatle ways.
Yeah.
But obviously, it was a very good feel-good moment. This whole series. It was a feel-good series, I suppose you could describe it as. And,
in a world without Robot Wars, the
I
UK
know.
robotics scene has not died.
No,
Absolutely not.
And it never did anyway. Even when it went off the
Yeah.
air the first time, it still lived. So
Yeah.
you can kill the dreamer, but you can't kill the dream. What was it?
Exactly.
Martin Luther King Day was yesterday, and I heard that quote, and I thought, wow, that's more true in many circumstances.
Yep, absolutely. So, yeah, that's pretty much that. And, I will thank everyone who's come on this series. So, from Heat 1, we had your own Leverloo. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Your own Craig Croucher in Heat 2. In Heat 3, Alex Mordew and Felix Townsend. I nearly forgot his name, and that's really bad. He's on my team. Ryan Bratley and Sam Hutchins of Hello There. In Heat 5, of course, Rory Charlesworth. And, of course, last week, Nick Cole, and now, Reira.
Yeah.
Thank you all very much for joining us this series. It's been an absolute pleasure covering Bugglebots. Hopefully, we'll see a third season. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But until then, I've been Sam Elliott 64.
I've been Steve the American Killjoy.
And I've been Empress Rara.
And myself and Steve will see you at some point in the near future for whatever comes next.
Go check out ESC.
Yes.
Do it. Why not? It's so good. It's so good. You owe it to yourself to go check it
Such a
out.
fresh take on podcasts, so different.
Yes, go and check it out.
Specifically the episode with Sam on.
No, don't listen to that one. It's the worst.
Ooh.
Anyway, thank you all for listening and watching and whatever else you're doing, and take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.